Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has issued a stark warning at the United Nations General Assembly, saying any aggression against Moscow will be met with a decisive response. Lavrov further denied that Russia has any intention of attacking NATO or EU nations, calling such claims provocations. He further said threats against Russia are becoming more common and warned Western nations not to underestimate Russia's resolve. This comes after growing tensions in Europe, with Estonia accusing Russia of airspace violations and NATO responding to Russian drone incursions over Poland. Denmark also reported drones over its airports but found no direct evidence of Russian involvement. Lavrov has also hit out at US President Donald Trump, who recently backed calls to shoot down Russian planes violating NATO airspace. He further added that Russia sees the US as unwilling to resolve the Ukraine crisis diplomatically, but expressed hope for more pragmatic cooperation. Let's listen into what the Russian Foreign Minister has said.
Более того, все чаще звучат угрозы применения силы против России, которая обвиняет в том, что она чуть ли не планирует напасть на Североатлантический альянс и Евросоюз. Президент Путин не раз развенчивал подобные провокации. У России не было и нет подобных намерений, однако любая агрессия против моей страны получит решительный отпор.
Now for this discussion, we're joined by Scott Faulkner. He's the head of Eagle Enterprises, a security firm, joins us live from Washington. Thank you very much, Scott, for joining us again. Good to see you. Now, looking at Lavrov's comments towards EU as well as Washington, D.C., what do you think what can come next?
Well, first of all, if Lavrov stood up at the UN and said the sun rose in the east, I'd get a second opinion. I don't believe a thing he says. He's a mouthpiece for Putin. It's all propaganda, and I think we should take what he says with a grain of salt. His saber rattling is sort of desperate because it's been a very bad week for Russia. On one front, all of their incursions into NATO airspace has been met with force. I mean, people are, instead of intimidating the western boundary of Russia or the eastern boundary of NATO, you've got a much stronger solidarity and commitment to defend their airspace. I don't think that Russia, especially Putin, was expecting that Finland and Denmark and Estonia and all these other countries were going to be as strong in their response, certainly rhetorically, as they are. The other part is Ukraine is on a roll right now. I mean, first of all, Trump seems to have finally awakened to Putin being the bad guy and is making a lot more noises on behalf of Ukraine and against Putin. Ukraine has been attacking very successfully a lot of the oil infrastructure of Russia, which is going to really hit them where it hurts, so to speak. And then the last 24 hours down in the Donetsk area, you have a salient that the Russians had pushed forward on has been surrounded by Ukrainian forces. And so in addition to several thousand Russian casualties, there's another 3,000 Russians about to be captured by Ukrainian forces. So it's been a pretty bad week for Putin and his henchmen. And and I think Lavrov is saber rattling is really out of desperation.
And Scott, furthermore, yes, keeping that in mind that, like you said, President Trump might have been more optimistic in the past about diplomatically solving this issue, but now he's seeing Russia's colors or intentions. Do you think President Trump will still proceed with trying to negotiate peace between Ukraine and Russia?
Trump is a holistic thinker, so he's going to be looking at all the avenues, both overt and behind the scenes. But I think he also realizes that with Ukraine now starting to show a lot of effectiveness in their offensives, that it may be the map that ultimately determines the future, not the table.
And what about what do you think? How will NATO move with this Sergei Lavrov's warning of a decisive response? Do you think they will directly maybe comment in upcoming days on this comment made by him?
Oh, I'm sure they will. I'm sure that both the NATO foreign ministers, the generals, and certainly the actual national leaders of some of these NATO countries will step up and say, you know, we are not going to be intimidated, that you are, if you come into our space, we're going to shoot down your drones. If you come into our space with your planes, we're going to shoot them down. This could be obviously very dicey on some fronts because, I mean, shooting down drones is one thing. Shooting down planes where you have a human in the cockpit is quite another. So it'll be interesting to see whether NATO will cross that line if Russia crosses that line.
Right. With that, I would like to thank our guest Scott Faulkner for joining us and sharing your insight all the way from US. Now we move on. India's External Affairs Minister S.